Hello students, today this is the another video from the chapter Why Do We Fall Ill from class 9th biology. Here in this video we are going to discuss about the some viral diseases occurs in human, and we will discuss about some diseases and we will see their mode of transmission, their symptoms, prevention and control in detail. So the first disease we will talk about, that disease is influenza. This is influenza caused by the virus in human beings. So influenza is also known as flu. It is also commonly known as flu, and this is a kind of acute respiratory tract infection. So this is a kind of acute disease, means it doesn't persist for a longer period of time. It is a disease which persists for a short duration of time. That's why it is acute disease, and it infects the respiratory tract. The virus name is Myxovirus influenzae, and commonly it is called as influenza virus. And influenza virus can be of three types: A, B and C. And the influenza A and B causes epidemics. Okay, the A and B is spread on a large areas, like it can spread in a whole city, in a whole country, and cause the epidemics. Okay, but influenza C, it occurs sporadically in the form of a small outbreak. So it doesn't cause epidemics, but it can spread in a small locality in irregular manner. So now we will talk about the mode of transmission. So it spreads mainly from person to person by the droplet infection, created by sneezing, coughing or talking. When an infected person sneeze, cough or talk, then the droplet of saliva spreads into the environment, into the air, and when any healthy person come into the contact of that air, infected air, then that person can caught by this virus and can face this disease. So that virus enters into the respiratory tract. When any healthy person inhale the infected air, then that virus goes into the nose, then it goes into the trachea, and it moves into the lungs and cause the infection. Now we will talk about the symptom. What are the major symptoms we can see in case of influenza? So virus causes inflammation and necrosis in the trachea and in the bronchioles. Okay, the virus of influenza causes inflammation. Inflammation means burning sensation. Burning sensation. As well as it causes necrosis. Necrosis means decaying of the tissues and cells. So where they are causing inflammation and decay, they are causing in trachea and in the bronchioles. Both the viruses of influenza causes fever, chills. The sufferer can feel very much cold, itches and pain. Coughing and weakness. The sufferer, the patient can face the fever, chills, pains, coughing and weakness as well. And the fever, in this case the fever lasts for 1 to 5 days, averaging 3 days in the adults. It can persist for 3 days, up to 3 days in the patient. And if fever persists beyond 5 days, pneumonia may be suspected. If the fever is persisting beyond the 5 days, more than 5 days, means then the pneumonia can occur in that patient's body. Now we will discuss about the prevention. How can we prevent it? So in prevention, sufferers should cover their faces with handkerchief, when coughing and sneezing. This is very important to prevent this disease. When any person is there and who is suffering with the influenza, that person should cover their faces with the handkerchief or with the mask while coughing and sneezing, so that the viruses will not come out, will not spread into the air, and the healthy persons can be safe. Now healthy persons should remain away from such patients. Healthy persons, they should maintain the distance from such patient to avoid the infection. Now we will talk about the control. How can we control this disease? So control includes the use of vaccines. Okay, vaccine can control this disease effectively, but in case of epidemics it cannot be used. It cannot if it is not effective in case of epidemics. When this disease spreads on a large scale in a whole country or in a whole city, then this vaccine cannot affect properly. So at that time, that vaccines can be given to the public servants like police, fire protection, transport and medical care for the protection against infection. So some antiviral drugs are there like amantadine and rimantadine. These antiviral drugs can treat this influenza A virus and can save the life. So this is all about the influenza. Now we will talk about the another disease, and that is hepatitis. So this is another very common disease. We will talk about this. This hepatitis disease is caused by the hepatitis virus, and this virus if infects the liver. The target organ of this virus is the liver, and it is thus a disease of liver. Disease of liver. This is a disease of liver, and it is caused by any of a dozen of viruses. Means there are so many viruses which can cause the hepatitis, like hepatitis A virus HAV, hepatitis B virus HBV, hepatitis C virus SCV, hepatitis D virus HDV, hepatitis E or G. Hepatitis viruses are of so many types, and so you can say there are so many types of hepatitis viruses A, B, C, D, E, G, and all of these viruses can infect our liver and cause the hepatitis. Hepatitis B is a DNA virus and the rest are RNA virus. What is the meaning of this? Hepatitis B virus consists of DNA. It has DNA as a genetic material, but rest of the viruses have RNA as a genetic material. Now we will talk about the mode of transmission. How this disease transfer from one person to another person or from environment to the person. So the hepatitis A is spread through the contaminated food and water. Suppose some food and water is there and that food is having hepatitis virus. So if any person will use this unclean contaminated food and water, that person will suffer with that disease, will get infected and will suffer with that disease. So hepatitis B is transmitted by infected blood, saliva, sweat and tears. Hepatitis B get transmitted by the contaminated blood, saliva, sweat and tears. Suppose there is a patient who is suffering with the hepatitis caused by hepatitis B, and if any healthy person get contact into the blood and saliva and sweat of the tears and tears of that infected person, so that healthy person can caught by this virus and can suffer with this disease. Now we will talk about the symptoms. Symptoms, what are the symptoms of hepatitis? So high body temperature, that person infected person can face the fever. Second is headache, joint pain, that person feel the pains in his or her joint. Loss of appetite. Loss of appetite means loss of hunger. That person will not feel appetite. That person will not feel the hunger. He or she will not feel like to eat something, and he or she will feel the nausea and vomiting. That person can feel the nausea and vomiting too. Irritating rashes over the body. Rashes can occur on the body, on the skin. Emission of dark yellow urine and light colored stool. The color of urine and stool will be changed. The urine will be in dark yellow and the stool will be light colored. So these are the symptoms occurs in hepatitis. Now, what are the prevention? How can we prevent this disease? So, the first method is use disinfected water. Means use clean water. Okay, neat and clean water, hygienic water. So, the when the water will be disinfected, so the all the germs and viruses will be killed, and that water will be safer to drink, because these viruses can live into the water and cause the disease. So we should use disinfected water. We should use neat and clean water, uncontaminated water. Wash hands before eating food. If you are going to eat anything, your hands should be washed. It should be neat and clean. It should be hygienic, so that you will avoid yourself from the occurrence of any uh, communicable disease. Now, use disposable syringes. Syringes must be one time usable. It should not be used again and again in so many persons. So disposable syringe must be used while injection. Vaccination for hepatitis and B is there, so vaccination should be done to avoid this disease. Now we will talk about the control. How can we control this disease? If any person if any person is suffering with this disease, and how can he or she can control? So take a high calorie diet. If any person is suffering with this disease, that person should take high calorie diet, because that person needs more and more amount of energy. So high calorie diet can help them. Then having low protein. Okay, having low protein. Low protein diet means low protein diet will not create overburden on your digestive system. So your body can take the rest. And fat contents must be low, so that there will be no burden on your digestive system and your body can get relaxed. Now, complete bed rest is recommended in this case of hepatitis, so that your body can fight with this virus and can cure itself. So this is all about the hepatitis. Now we will talk about the another viral disease, and that is rabies, which is also known as hydrophobia. Hydrophobia, fear from water. Phobia means fear from water. Hydro means water. Okay, in this disease, people fear from the water. When they see the water, they get scared. So that's why this disease is called as hydrophobia, fear from water. It is an acute disease. It occurs for short period of time, but highly fatal. Highly fatal. The chances of death is very higher, very much high in this case, and it is viral disease, and it affects the central nervous system. It affects the central nervous system of that person. And it is a disease of warm blooded animals, not only in humans, but it can occur in the warm blooded animals like dogs, cats, monkeys, rabbits. And Now we will talk about the mode of transmission, how it transfer. So it is transmitted to man usually by bites or licks of rabid animals. Okay, there are some animals like dog, cat, monkey and rabbits. Their saliva consists the virus of rabies. So that animals is known are known as rabid animals. And if any of the rabid animals bites or licks the man, then thus that virus can get transferred into the man from that animal, and cause the disease. So now we will talk about the symptoms. What are the symptoms of this disease? So the disease begins with headache. The person feel the pain in head, then sore throat and slight fever lasting for 3 to 4 days. Later, patient becomes sensitive to noise, bright light or a cold draught of air, aerophobia, fear of air, pain in the pharyngeal and neck muscles, muscular pain along with dilation of pupils, increased perspiration, salivation, fear of death, anger, irritability and depression. So there are so many symptoms occur in a person who is suffering with the rabies, hydrophobia. What are these? The patient becomes sensitive to noise. When any of the noise occurs, they become hyper. They also fear with the bright light, cold, and they also fear with the air also. When wind moves very fast, blows very fast, they become they feel nausea, they become hyper, and they start to react in a very hyper manner. So they also feel pain in the neck and in the pharyngeal, in the pharynx, okay, in the front part of the food pipe and in the neck muscles. Muscle pain also occur, and their pupils in the eyes become dilated, okay, becomes bigger, and increase perspiration, sweating. Perspiration means sweating. The sweating rate will increase in that person, and salivation will also increase. The amount of saliva will become more and more. Fear of death, they start to fear with the death. They show anger, irritability, they show irritation, and they get into the depression. The symptoms are progressively increased. Okay, these symptoms increase day by day during this disease, and swallowing of liquid becomes unsuccessful. That person, that sufferer will not be able to swallow the liquid, engulf the liquid, and the patient develop fear of water. This is the fear of water, hydrophobia. So this is the main symptoms of rabies. And now we will talk about the prevention. How can we prevent this disease? So prevention includes administer a single dose of anti-rabies serum with a course of vaccine. Anti-rabies serum is there, which can we take at that when the any rabid animal bite, then we should take the anti-rabies serum with the course of vaccine as well. Now cleaning, the instant treatment should be there. When any rabid animal bites a person, then we should take instant treatment. So first one is cleaning. Immediately wash the wound, scratches and adjoining areas with plenty of soap. Okay, we should wash the bited area with the soap and water, and under a running tap water for 5 minutes. Okay, we should wash that area where the animal have bitten with the running water about 5 minutes to remove most of the viruses. Okay. Second, chemical treatment. After cleaning, irrigate the wound with either alcohol tincture or 0.01% aqueous solution of iodine or povidone iodine. We should use the disinfectant like alcohol, iodine to wash that bitten area to kill the viruses. Savlon should not be used, it cannot kill the virus. Now, use of carbolic acid or nitric acid is not recommended as it leaves very bad scars. We should not use these acids to wash the bites, because it causes scars. And that's why we should use this alcohol or iodine solution, aqueous iodine solution, to kill the germs at the time of after the biting occurs. Now we will talk about anti-rabies serum. Okay, in case of rabies, anti-rabies serum are there, and that anti-rabies serum should be applied on the bitten area. Now observe the animal for 10 days. It is recommended that you should observe the animal for 10 days for the day of bite. The rabid animal who has bitten any person, and the symptoms of rabies is being shown in that person, so we should observe that animal too. Okay, if because of the biting of that animal the symptoms of rabies occur in the person, so at the same time we should watch the animals too, and if the animal shows the symptom of rabies it should be killed, because that animal can create then that animal can spread the rabies in more number of persons, so that that animal should be killed to avoid the infection. Now if the animal remains alive and healthy at the end of 10 days, there is no need of anti-rabies treatment. If the animal is healthy after the end of 10 days, so there is no need of any treatment or to kill that animal. But in case if the symptoms are arising, so we should take the treatment and we should kill that animal too, so that animal cannot spread the disease to more number of persons. Now what is the control? So there is no treatment for rabies till date, कोई treatment नहीं है, there is no treatment, but there are some serums and injections are there that can be taken to avoid and cure that disease. So now we will talk about the another disease, very famous and very important disease, that is AIDS. Okay, AIDS. AIDS means acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. AIDS, full form of AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay, it is usually a fatal illness caused by a retrovirus. Okay, fatal illness, this is very very fatal, it takes the life of a person. Okay, and caused by a virus which is RNA virus. The genetic material of this virus is RNA, known as human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. The virus of AIDS is known as human immunodeficiency virus, in a short form HIV. It breaks down the immune system of the body. This virus affects the immune system of human beings. The target site of this virus in humans body is immune system. It damages the immune system of the body and and the body of victim, the body of patient becomes vulnerable to host of life threatening infections, because HIV makes the immune system weak. So the another because of the weak immune system, the other infections can occur in the patient's body very easily. So it spreads throughout the body and it can pass through the blood brain barrier and destroy brain cells too. It can reaches to the brain cells as well, and it can cause cause the death of brain cells and causes neurological and psychomotor abnormalities. Now we will talk about the symptoms of these disease. What are the symptoms? Okay, this is diagram of HIV. This is the diagram of HIV. This is the genetic material. Okay, RNA. This is RNA, and this is the protein, and this is the outermost covering. Okay, so this is the structure of HIV virus. And now we will talk about the symptoms. AIDS patients show signs of unexplained diarrhea lasting more than a month. Okay, the symptom is having diarrhea, means weak digestive system. They have loose motions, they have vomiting, they have a very weak digestive system, they cannot digest the food properly, and this diarrhea can last more than a month. It can be last. Now fatigue, they feel tiredness. Okay, they feel tiredness every time, and bodily discomfort. They don't feel relaxed. Loss of body weight, their body weight becomes decreased day by day. Fever, they have fever every day. Night sweats, during the night they feel sweating. AIDS is the end stage of HIV infection. Because of the very weak immune system, lots of infection can cause into the body of patient, and because of those infection at last the person suffers with the AIDS. Now in this disease, lymph nodes swell, blood platelets count decreases, and that cause hemorrhage and fever. In AIDS, the lymph nodes become swollen, they swell up, and blood platelets, the number of platelets in blood decreases, and hence it causes hemorrhages. Hemorrhages means bleeding. Okay, bleeding, internal bleeding. So because of the decrease in the platelet counts, the bleeding of blood cannot stop easily, and which has caused hemorrhages. So now we will talk about the mode of transmission. What is the mode of transmission of AIDS? So the first mode of transmission is unprotected sexual intercourse. This spread the disease from infected person to the healthy person. Another way is by contaminated blood transfusion. Okay, at the time of blood transfusion, when the blood is contaminated with the HIV, that can enter into the healthy person and cause the AIDS. Now, through a contaminated needle and syringe, at the time of injection, the syringe and needle which is used, if that syringe is contaminated with the HIV, then the virus can enter into the person and cause the disease. HIV also passes from an infected mother to her fetus through the placental barrier. Suppose there is a mother and who is pregnant, so because that fetus, that baby is inside the mother's body, so the virus can transfer from mother's body to the fetus through the placenta and can cause the AIDS into the baby as well. And from mother's body, it can goes into the baby during delivery. At the time of delivery, it can, if the mother is suffering with the AIDS and having HIV virus in her body, so at the time of birth of the baby, the virus can transfer from mother's body to the baby's body. And during the breastfeeding, okay, with via milk, Via milk, the virus can transfer from mother's body to the baby. So these are the mode of transmission. Now we will talk about the prevention. How can we prevent? Okay, how can we prevent this disease? So the method of prevention is provide health education to the adult. Okay, the persons must be aware. People must be aware about these diseases to avoid. And education is very necessary about the indiscriminate sex, and to avoid use of common razor and toothbrushes, and intravenous drug users should avoid common needles and syringes. So the awareness about the mode of transmission is very necessary to avoid this disease. Okay, if people will be aware with the mode of transmission of this virus, so they will not follow the indiscriminate sex, and they will not use the common razors and toothbrushes, and they will not use the same syringe, same needle to take drugs, so the infection can be avoided. Now, infected women should avoid pregnancy. If a lady is there and that lady is suffering with the AIDS, so that lady should avoid the pregnancy. Otherwise, the newly born baby will also be infected with the HIV. Infected person should not donate blood, body organs, or other tissues. Those who are suffering with the AIDS, they should not donate their blood, body organs, and other tissues, because these can have the viruses and can get transferred from patient to the healthy person. Disposable syringes and needles should be used, because for the injections, syringes must be used for the one time only. Okay, so the disposable syringes must be used for the injections. Now, how can we control? Antiviral chemotherapy with chemical compound zidovudine is used in prolong the life of HIV patient, and there is no effective treatment for AIDS till the date. Okay, till the date there is no effective treatment is there. Some antiviral chemotherapy and drugs are there which is used to increase the life of HIV patient, but there is no complete effective treatment is there. So there is only one method to protect ourselves from the AIDS, and that is only one way, and that is prevention. Prevention is better than the cure, because there is no cure of AIDS. So we should follow the prevention to avoid the disease. Now there is a next kind of viral disease, and that is polio. Okay. Polio is also known as poliomyelitis, and caused by the small virus like rabies and encephalitis. It affects the central nervous system. The target organ of poliovirus is central nervous system, CNS. Now, what is the mode of transmission? Mode of transmission is contaminated food and water. If the water is unhygienic and having the virus of polio, and if any person is taking that food and water, that person will be infected. Okay, it applies in lymphoid tissues and such as tonsil, causing vomiting, intestinal cramps, nausea, influenza. Okay, when this virus enters in our body, it affects the tonsils and causes vomiting, intestinal cramp. We feel some pain in our intestine, nausea, and influenza as well. So sometimes virus enters into the blood stream and settles in the gray matter of the spinal cord. The viruses can enter into the spinal cord and can persist there. Now we will talk about the symptoms. What are the symptoms? So the symptoms include headache and fever, stiffness in neck and conclusions. Okay, our neck becomes stiff, becomes so hard, the flexibility decreases. Paralysis in muscles of arms and legs and controlled by the spinal cord. Okay, the paralysis can occur in the muscles, okay, which are controlled by the spinal cord, like in arms and in legs. Now, how can we prevent it? Immunization is the best way to prevent it. Immunization. There is no drugs. Okay, there is no drugs. There is no medicines to cure this disease. There is only one method to avoid that disease, and that is immunization. Vaccine. Polio vaccine is highly recommended to prevent this disease, and by immunization of the polio vaccine we can save ourselves. uh, so to avoid the polio disease, there is a pulse polio program in India. So this polio vaccine occurs in the form of polio drops. Okay, polio drops, which is given to the small kids under the age of 5 to avoid the occurrence of this disease into the small kids. So this is all about the human diseases caused by the viruses. We had discussed about the diseases influenza, hepatitis, rabies, then AIDS, and then polio. So this is all about this video. Thank you.